Good morning, YouTubers. Here we all are, about the second day into the government shutdown. And I don't think anybody really can find a shit to give about it. I think everybody's lives are putting right along just like always. I'm sure some of us, a very small fraction, might have found ourselves at the gate of a national park or a museum or something of that nature and couldn't get into the door, and then find, that's a little upsetting. Other than that, our bills are still being paid and the post office is still running, unless you want to get a passport for some weird reason. Think about it. The post office is still there because that's who carry bills, who generate money for the government. But apparently the one person that processes all of the passports, well, he got laid off. Utterly and totally ridiculous. If you can't see through this for what it is, people, then you're just not looking. There ain't no government shutdown. There ain't ever going to be, unless God wills it. These are people playing with words to put us in an emotional fear state. Why? Well, a lot is accomplished out of fear. And nothing ever good, I'm afraid. It's usually laws. We got the most degradational act that ever happened to this country, which is the Patriot Act, was put in place out of fear. Many believe it was a reason for the 9/11 attack, was to ingest that fear on the American people, that they could pass these laws, which they seem to have already had ready, waiting on ready to be motivated to get pushed in a law. Fear is a very powerful tool for the government. It always has been, and it goes back way further than the government. Cut a few heads off, raid a few camps, raid a few villages, and they found that the rest of the populace, even though the populace is very much stronger than this violent fraction, the people would fall in line, and they were easily to control with fear. Fear is about the only thing that can do that. So we have to ask ourselves, why are we being fed the fear? Why the fear mongering on the TV constantly? If you didn't watch the TV and the news, you really would have knew there was a government shutdown going on. You wouldn't have had a clue, unless you went to a museum or a park and couldn't get in. Tells me that somebody's fixing to pass some laws, most likely going to sidestep the usual method of lawmaking that this country's had for so many years. Probably going to be some laws that are signed in by President Obama. Probably laws that are going to strip the people even more of rights and or liberties and or both. Have you noticed no laws or any governmental change for the past, I don't know, 15, 20 years, I gotta say, maybe even longer than that, have not been to empower the people, not one bit. It's everything that has happened as far as change has only been put into place to depower people and to strip them away of liberties and rights. And you gotta ask yourself, why is that? In this modern day age, don't you think that some changes that the government makes would actually empower people? Odd, or is it? I look at this nation now as a big fat hog that has been raised and reared by its master. And every hog has a horrible end to his life. At some point he gets 3 legs tied, and then somebody sticks him with a knife in his throat to bleed him out. That's a horrible, horrible thing to witness. If you don't believe me, type in hog slaughter on YouTube, and I'm sure you will understand what I mean by what a horrible thing it is. Because this animal is kicking and screaming, and it's always kept in place by its fear and by its ignorance. And that's kind of like how this nation is today. And I fear we're just about 2 legs tied now. And they're working on that 3rd leg. And when that 3rd leg gets tied, that horrible time of screaming and bloodshed is right around the corner. So we can try to dissect the problem with government all we want and try to figure it out, but the truth is it's already been figured out and it's already in place, and these things are going to happen. It wouldn't be prophesied in the book if it wasn't going to happen. It's going to happen. The only real question is how close are we to this time, and how do we need to adjust our lives to make ourselves ready for this horrible time of the thinning of the herd, which is around the corner. Spiritually, we need to be vested in the Word of God, and in that being said, we need to be vested in the process of understanding the Word of God, which is no easy trick. It takes a lot of time and many years. So there's going to be a starvation right at the end where people are all looking for the Word of God, but understanding is going to be hard to find. That being said, the second thing is you have to take care of your flesh bodies. You have to keep food into them so that they can stay alive, to keep this spiritual investment of your well-being growing and learning through this whole process. So my advice to whoever may be watching this video is stock you up some dry beans, man, and stock you up a lot of them. Get you some food stocked up. Now, be aware of this, that the Patriot Act states that when we go to chaos and we go to martial law, that food hoarding at that time will be illegal. Because they leave it up to better heads than you to figure out where your food should go, who's more deserving of the food that you had the good sense to store and save for a hard time. So with that being said, whatever you stock, you have to be able to get it on the move, or conceal it, so that you can use this to sustain your own life, and not some body, the government at that time, whoever they may be, who this government may be, this infraction we call FEMA, that nobody seems to have voted for, but seems for some reason to be in power in those times. Whoever they say your food goes to is where it's going to go. So you have to make provisions for that as you're hoarding this food. You have to think about size. You have to think about whatever the conditions may be at that time that your food will have to survive through, so it can be of use to you, so on and so forth. But I think, people, it's probably time that we start giving a little more thought to those types of things. Bug out bags and so on and so forth, and plans that your whole family may know of, meeting places in case chaos ensues and falls upon us all. There's also the possibility that this government shutdown is the very tip of an iceberg that may get away with us. Something big could start from something small like this. I'm not saying it's going to start with this instance, but hey, it could. That being said, I hope everybody good spirit, good luck. I hope everybody finds themselves ready for when this thing happens, that they can have a more peaceful time than what the majority of the world is going to suffer through. So that being said, folks, I'm going to end this video. Just wanted to drop by and say hello and share a few thoughts I had about the whole government shutdown, whatever the hell that means, and then drop by and say hello for a while. Okay, guys? Peace out, people of Earth.